Hey, welcome back. You know, I was walking through the East Village the other day, past all these little restaurants and shops, and I saw a place closing down. Not just closing, but being completely gutted. The sign ripped down, the insides torn out. And I had this strange, dark thought. The owner didn't just want to move. They wanted to make sure nothing of that place ever existed again. That feeling, that drive to not just defeat, but to utterly erase. It's one of humanity's oldest, most terrifying impulses. And no one in history perfected it quite like the Romans. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is Empire Builders, the rise and fall of civilizations from light, not studios. And this is episode 3. Carthage must be destroyed. The psychology of Roman annihilation. We all know Rome won the Punic Wars. But this episode isn't about battles or generals. It's about the moment they decided winning wasn't enough. It's about the phrase that became a Roman mantra, a slogan chanted in the Senate and the streets. Carthago, Delenda est. Carthage must be destroyed. Not defeated. Not negotiated with. Destroyed. To understand why, we have to step back into the mind of Rome in the 2nd century BC. They had just won the Second Punic War. Hannibal, the brilliant Carthaginian general who had brought Rome to its very knees, was finally defeated. Carthage itself was battered, its empire stripped away, forced to pay a massive indemnity for 50 years. They were no longer a threat. By any rational measure, Rome was secure. And yet, for men like the Senator Cato the Elder, security was an illusion. Every speech he gave in the Senate, on any topic, would end with the same chilling conclusion: Ceterum censeo Carthaginem esse delendum. Furthermore, I consider that Carthage must be destroyed. Imagine that. A geopolitical obsession so complete, it becomes your personal catchphrase. Cato wasn't just worried about Carthaginian armies. He was worried about their very existence. He once displayed fresh figs in the Senate, plump and ripe, and told his colleagues they'd been picked in Carthage just 3 days before. The message was visceral. Our mortal enemy is not some distant, broken state. It is here, at our doorstep, fertile and thriving. It was a masterpiece of psychological manipulation. He was selling a narrative of perpetual threat. And this is where we find the first layer of the Roman psychology, a deep, generational trauma. Hannibal didn't just fight Rome, he haunted it. For over a decade, he marched around Italy, wiping out army after army at Trebia, at Lake Trasimene, and most devastatingly, at Cannae. It was a slaughter on a scale the Romans had never conceived possible. The story is told that after Cannae, the Romans were so terrified they wouldn't even name the disaster. They just referred to it as the day. That kind of psychic wound doesn't heal with a treaty. It festers. It creates a culture where the only perceived safety lies in the total absence of the thing that hurt you. So for the Romans, Carthage wasn't just a rival empire. It was the living embodiment of their deepest national nightmare. And you can't make peace with a nightmare. You have to wake up from it, by any means necessary. Which brings us to the final war. The Third Punic War was, in many ways, a formality, a manufactured pretext. Carthage, against all odds, had begun to recover economically. They paid off their war debt early, which only made Rome more suspicious. When a conflict with a Roman ally, Numidia, flared up, Carthage defended itself, a breach of their treaty. It was the excuse Rome needed. They demanded the unthinkable, that the entire population of Carthage abandon their legendary, centuries-old city on the coast and move miles inland. For a civilization built on maritime trade, this was a death sentence. The Carthaginians refused, and so the legions landed in Africa, not for plunder, but for a specific, surgical purpose: annihilation. The siege of Carthage lasted 3 years. It wasn't a quick conquest, it was a meticulous dismantling. And when the city finally fell, the Roman command gave orders that would echo through history. The city was to be razed, literally erased from the earth. The surviving population, those not killed in the fighting, were sold into slavery. The story goes that the ground was plowed with salt, though historians debate that particular detail. But the symbolism is what matters. Salting the earth is an act of profound jujog. It's saying nothing will ever grow here again. Not a city, not a house, not a single blade of grass. The Romans weren't just destroying buildings. They were attempting to kill the future of that place. They wanted to scrub Carthage from both the map and memory. But here's the haunting thing about Annihilation. It never works the way you think it will. By trying to erase Carthage, the Romans immortalized it. Carthago Delenda est is remembered more than the names of most Roman emperors. The salt story persists because it perfectly captures the terrifying finality of their intent. In seeking to eliminate a threat to their identity, they wound up defining their own identity by that very act. The Roman Republic, soon to become the Roman Empire, built its legend not just on what it created, but on what it could so completely destroy. It became a warning to every other kingdom, tribe, and city. Cross us, and you risk not just defeat, but non-existence. Sitting here in New York, a city built and rebuilt upon itself, where you can find a 200-year-old church next to a glass skyscraper, I think about that drive to erase. As an engineer, I'm trained to build, to solve problems. But that Roman impulse, it's the ultimate unsolvable problem. Because you can't build your own safety on the absolute ruin of another. It creates a hollow kind of security, one that requires constant vigilance against ghosts. The Romans, after Carthage, turned that destructive gaze inward, and the Republic tore itself apart in civil wars. The psychology of annihilation, once unleashed, is a virus that doesn't know when to stop. So what's our takeaway from the ashes of Carthage? It's that the most dangerous stories we tell ourselves aren't about weakness, but about absolute threat. When a society, or even a person, becomes convinced that their survival depends on the utter eradication of another, a rival, an idea, a memory, they embark on a path that ultimately consumes them. Rome built an empire, but in that one act, they also wrote the blueprint for their own eventual fall, teaching every empire that came after them the wrong, brutal lesson. Thanks for listening. If this journey into the darker corners of history resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd share this episode with someone. Help us build this community of curious minds. For more from me, Ibnul J. Farabi, and the entire team, visit Light Not Studios at lightnotstudios.com. Until next time, remember, we study the empires of the past not to glorify their power, but to understand the echoes of their choices, whispers that still shape our world today.